I want to step off. Thank you, Lori. Before starting tonight's meeting, I would like to emphasize everyone to speak slowly into their microphones. All council members must ensure their cell phones are turned off or on silent and not on their desks. Tonight is Monday, March 16th, 2026. This is our Committee of the Whole for the Barberton City Council. Before we start our normal meeting, first we will have our committee meetings for this evening. First off will be Mrs. Hager, Streets, Sidewalks, and Lighting.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is March 16th, 2026. and Lighting Committee meeting in council chambers at 6:01 with myself as chair, Monty Harris as co-chair, and Emily Beck, along with all other council members and guests as noted on my sheet. We have no requests for legislation at this time. No pending legislation. Mr. Shreve, did all the lights go off okay on 2nd Street for the lighting?
No, they ended up, the strand that they tried to replace the part on, part failed again or something, so they're calling manufacturer.
Okay. Do we have any kind of timeline on that?
I don't have a timeline on this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any miscellaneous discussion from my committee or the body? Mr. Harris?
How's the street resurfacing list coming, Mr. Shreve?
I believe it's been finalized. We're waiting, it should go to bid, as soon as the budget passes. We'll be able to, have, GPD send that out to bid.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Anyone from the gallery? If nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second.
And we are adjourned at 6:02. That I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Hager. Environmental Health and Social Services, Mrs. Miller.
We have no legislation, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller.
No, we have to call for committee.
We have to have a meeting.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Emily Beck, are you here? No. That's the wrong one. I had these in order. Okay. All right. It is 6:03. And all the committee members are here. All the council is here. And others as mentioned. We have no requested legislation at this time. And with that, I pass.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Is there miscellaneous for help also?
Okay. Do you have any miscellaneous questions? My committee? Does the body have any miscellaneous questions? With that, I still pass.
Yeah, motion and a second.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
And,
I'll second.
all right. We are adjourned at 6:04 p.m.
Thank you, Julie. Planning, Annexation, and Codes, Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time, I'd like to call the Planning, Annexation, and Codes Committee to order. It is March 16th, 2026, at 6:05 p.m. All of my members on the committee are present, as well as the rest of council and members noted on my sheet. This evening, we have two pieces of legislation to consider. The first one, a letter from Stacy Carr, Planning Director, requesting legislation to enter into contract with Butcher and Sons for the 2026 residential demolition program. Emergency wording and one reading requested. Please see request. Wanted to note that this is for single-family residents and duplex, two-unit residents. It's the same price as last year, so that's a good thing. Are there any remarks for this? Any discussion from my committee? Okay, any from the, go ahead.
Are these houses that are condemned?
Yes, this would be the ones that would be on the demolition list.
Thank
This
you.
is how much it would cost us to demo those.
I just wanted to make sure they were condemned.
Gotcha. Anybody else? Anybody from the gallery? Alrighty. May I have a motion to place this on the consent agenda?
I make a motion to put it on the consent agenda.
All right, in a second.
Second.
Alrighty. All those in favor?
Aye.
So that goes on the consent. Second piece of legislation we have for this evening, a letter from Missy Schifferly, Community Development Administrator, requesting legislation to allow the city of Barberton to enter into contract with Next Nature Environmental to design and implement the upcoming Harder Park renovation project using CDBG funds, allocation of $125,000, emergency wording, and one reading requested, is also requested for this piece. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at that proposal? She included the proposal in our, with our legislation. So it's a little bit lengthy, but, so basically they're gonna do a sunflower and pollinator park at Harder Park. The whole process, they kind of outlined a little bit in here. I look at my notes. Okay. So they're gonna do some soil testing and test the site. I liked that there's gonna be a lot of community involvement. They're gonna host 2 community design events. Looks like they're gonna take ADA access into account for this. Also, they're going to use, what do I wanna say, locally sourced seeds as well as plants, native species, and also take into account bloom time, so maximum bloom time across the entire year. They also included a maintenance schedule, which is encouraging. So years 1 through 3 will basically have a little roadmap on how to kind of take care of these things to ensure that these native plants survive and there's a pollinator garden forever and ever. Another thing I wanted to point out, that Habitat for Humanity has pledged to kick in $30,000 to accomplish this goal. So, I wanted to thank them very much for that. That's a big deal, and I wanted to thank them for their participation in this, to bringing this forward. But other than that, do I have any comments from my committee on this? Ms. Miller?
Bridgestone did this in Akron with their new building, and they didn't mow it, and it was this tall. And I didn't see flowers in it. I'm gonna say that. This looked to me like a wheat garden. But their entire building was infested with mice.
Oh dear. Okay. I'll
And
let
it
you
was a
take that
new
one.
building.
So the goal of this Harder Park project is to make it usable space, because right now there's nothing there, and make it easier for our crews to maintain. So you'll see in that budget, they did do a 1 to 3 year plan. It would be union work. So we would, when we meet with them next week, we're gonna request that they create a 1 to 3 year maintenance plan to actually give to us so we can maintain like our crews ourselves. So that should bring the budget down a little bit because we're not contracting with them to do the work. As far as rodents, it's nature, right? So they may or may not be there. But it will be more, it'll be usable space better than what it is now. And this is to Mrs. Beck's point through CDBG. We have allocated up to $125,000. But obviously that amount will be less that we have to use out of CDBG because of Habitat kicking in that $30,000.
Go ahead.
Can you speak to the rendering that we have, like what is existing, what?
Yeah, so I have a copy here, let me grab it. So this was obviously just an idea that, Next Nature had. So during that design phase, we will have obviously the Parks Department, our street crews, anybody that's gonna be using the space, you know, working to make it better, be there. Caroline Crawford, our stormwater manager, is gonna be in those meetings. So this plan may change a little bit, but this is just a generalized idea of what the firm created for us.
So you were talking about the 3-year maintenance. cost that they put here, that would be taken out because it's gonna go towards
Yeah, our crews would.
park maintenance people.
And again, our goal is not to make it harder for parks maintenance to maintain it. Our goal is to make it easy for them, because I do know we have, a hard time with having enough time to maintain everything that we have on there, so the goal is to make this easier, more efficient for the crews.
Right.
I'm probably not the best person to talk about plants, I can't keep them alive. But maybe if I was spending this amount of money, I'd have more ability to. Is this a normal cost for putting in pollinator park?
I haven't compared it, so I haven't compared it in sizes to other pollinator parks or, flowers, but these should come back every year. So it's not like you have to go back and replant.
Okay, that's good. I lived in St. Louis for 8 years, and on all of your on-ramps, the little triangle part was, I think, prairie rehab, and it's kind of similar to how Mrs. Miller described it.
Yeah, I mean, in the wintertime, obviously, it's gonna be not as pretty as in the spring and summer, so take that.
Nothing is. Okay.
Can you give a little, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
No, sorry. Could you give a little background on what we wanted, or what the decision was to we're kind of getting rid of a park as a green space overall and kind of transforming it?
Yeah, so we weren't getting the best types of people to utilize that space, and not in the best ways. There was a basketball court there, it was damaged. We've had reports of people driving there in their car and then going back into the woods because it's dark and it's secluded to do inappropriate things. So the goal is to, clean it up for this neighborhood so they can utilize a clean space.
Go right ahead.
I'm very excited for this. This is in my ward. Also, because I'm a huge flower person and growing and everything. Not only, in the wintertime, believe it or not, perennials, their stems actually become like shelters for bugs and bees and a lot of helpful insects for the environment. So even though they're ugly in the winter, because everybody's like, oh, in the fall you go and cut everything down. It's like, no, you don't. You leave it, even the leaves. Because honeybee queens and firefly larvae and all of that actually burrow under the leaves and in the stems from flowers that have died. So, but yes, I am, very, very excited to see this and what it'll do for the environment, and people can enjoy this in the city and go for walks, and I think it's gonna be great. Very excited.
We will also incorporate like an educational component in there, so we can have little plaques that describe the plants and what they help with, and butterflies, the types of butterflies that are common in the park. So.
Go ahead.
And I'll just say, I did reach out to Director Patterson and Executive Director Simmons, who just walked in, so they can speak for themselves if they want. But they were both in support of this, I believe, or at least Mr. Patterson was.
Excellent.
Just
Okay.
Parks was on the side of this.
Alrighty. So I don't know if I want to put this on the consent agenda. But can I have a motion to put this on consent?
Make a motion to put it on the consent agenda.
Alrighty, in a second. Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
That passes. We don't have any appointments at this time and no other pending legislation. I'll open this up to miscellaneous, if anybody from the committee has any miscellaneous business to talk about. And the rest of council, any miscellaneous? Alrighty. May I have a motion to adjourn?
You have a motion to adjourn?
Thank you, in a second.
Second.
We are adjourned at 6:16. pass. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mrs. Beck. Finance and Personnel, Brian Foreman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to call the Finance and Personnel meeting to order. It's Monday, March 16th, 2026. It is 6:16. Here in council chamber, myself as chair, Crystal as co-chair, Monty Harris, and Shorter Griffin. Other council members are present, and also others as noted. We have a request for legislation, a letter from the Mayor Bill Judge requesting legislation to amend Ordinance 10-2023 Barberton Residential Services Relief Program, emergency wording request. This is for we're changing sections 2B and C to remove income threshold and add the following. Section B has 65 years of age, an income level or combined income level equal to or below the Ohio property tax regulations income threshold for homestead exemption. And then also they're changing the section for homeowners disability residents, primary residents in the city of Barberton, and has an income level or combined income level, and what they're changing is equal to or below the Ohio property tax regulations income threshold for homestead exemption. This change would, the changes would be at the state, would match the state level as well as the match of the Summit County Fiscal Offices of Income threshold for the homestead exemption program. Is there any questions or? Yeah.
What's the process that a resident would go through for applying for this? And then how is it approved?
They would fill out an application which mirrors Summit County's homestead exemption application, provide the necessary documentation, we would verify all that, and then they would qualify for it.
Is it verified through utilities, or is it verified through Jeremy's office, or how is it?
They could reach out to Jeremy, they just want to make sure all the documentation, typically utilities.
I thought originally this went through Summit County to apply, or do we have to apply to Barberton?
So if our program is our program, but it
Okay.
mirrors the county's,
Okay.
the qualifications. So you'd have to set, if you meet our requirements, you automatically meet the requirements of the county, you'd have to fill out their application separately, send it to them, and they would go through their process. Theirs only affects property taxes,
Oh,
where ours is on the utility side.
oh,
So in the last piece of legislation, the one previous to this, a few years ago, we changed the criteria and some of the qualifications to mirror the counties. So it's an easy one-to-one. If you meet our requirements or the county's requirements, you meet the other ones automatically, right? You still have to fill out the application. We put a dollar amount in there for household income. That changes every year through the state. It goes up around 2%, sometimes a little higher. We want to make sure that we're staying with what the county and what the state have put out for their programs. So this gives us the flexibility that we don't have to come back every year and change to what the state is, because right now we're behind where they announced their update. We're kind of behind the eight ball, if you will. So this will, every year it'll change. Every year we can promote that this is the new threshold for the household income. There's approximately, Councilperson Beck, help me with this, approximately 167 homes on this.
That's what you said. There isn't very many.
Yeah. And then, Councilperson Gerhart, your next question might be, we do audit this every few years to make sure that person living at 100 Main Street who qualified for X number of years ago didn't move, and the new person is getting those benefits.
Give a discount. Okay. That's good to know. I don't even know if that's where I was headed, but thanks for follow up.
oh.
I would like to know if this is talking about going back and taking away homesteads from people that already have them in the past.
Nope.
Thank you.
No.
I just want to point out that this is also for any military veteran that's 100% disability, and also any surviving spouse of a first responder that was killed in the line of duty.
I believe those have no income threshold.
There's no income threshold, they just have to, like a military veteran has to provide their VA awards letter plus their DD 214, and then whatever paperwork the surviving spouse would get for the public service officer or EMT.
You said 176 houses-ish, something like that?
160.
160 plus, okay. Do we, out of what, 10,000 roughly, maybe, houses, do we advertise this to the citizens in any way, or
Yeah,
do
so
they know about it?
we've taken it to the Active Adult Center during big functions that they have and have signups. We take it to my open office hours, so when it comes down, we promote it on social media, in the paper, website, things of that nature.
Cool, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Can I have a motion to call out and place on the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say by aye.
Aye.
Mr. Griffin?
Aye.
Thank you. We have a letter from Lisa Miller, Law Director, requesting legislation to authorize payment of Bridge Zero and Andreas in the amount of $12,613.50 owed, emergency wording, and one reading requested. Any comments or questions? Can I have a motion to call out and place on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then our last is a letter from William Bill Judge requesting legislation celebrating and honoring the city of Barberton's 135th anniversary, including Founder's Day on March 23rd, including the 250th anniversary of the United States, emergency wording, and one reading requested. Any comments or? Can I have a motion? Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, more for the mayor, do we have like solid, and like any solid plans for the 135, 250? As we're getting into the warm season, just haven't heard much.
Yeah, I mean, there's things every month. So whether it's posting facts about the city or it's, different events, I'll be reaching out to city council about having a community picnic in each ward, at the, one of the parks in each ward, and kind of talking about, bringing the community together and what that looks like, and games and activities for the family and food and all that good stuff. So that's one thing we're doing. I can't recall off the top of my head everything that we've discussed a lot. We've got coloring books, we've got swag bags, we've got t-shirts, we've got a lot of things like that.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Any other questions? Can I have a motion to call out and place on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
I have no other pending. Is there any miscellaneous discussions? Anything from the gallery? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Are we doing,
No, that's afterwards, the budget.
okay. I'll second your motion for adjournment then.
Thank you. We adjourn at 6:26. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. I think if no one objects, we'll just keep on rolling right into the committee of the whole. Okay, so I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Today is 6:27. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any citizens addressing council? Okay, hearing none. Committee reports. We'll start off with Mrs. Hager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Street, sidewalk, and lighting met this evening at 6 o'clock in council chambers. We have no legislation. Spoke briefly about the lights on Second Street, still not quite working, and the street resurfacing list is being finalized, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Hager. Mrs. Beck, Emily.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, we, Planning, Annexation, and Codes met this evening. We had two pieces of legislation to consider. A letter from Stacy Carr requesting legislation to enter into contract with Butcher and Sons for the 2026 residential demolition program. The second being a letter from Missy Schifferly, Community Development Administrator, requesting legislation to allow the City of Barberton to enter into contract with Next Nature Environmental to design and implement the upcoming Harder Park renovation project using CDBG fund allocation of $125,000. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Beck. Chris Stoll, City Utilities.
Thank you, Mr. President. The City Utilities Committee met on March 9th in council chambers at 6:33 p.m. We had one request for legislation, a letter from Dennis R. Weaver, Utilities Director, requesting legislation authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional engineering services contract with Verdantis LLC for the Water Pollution Control Center's no feasible alternative improvement project in the amount not to exceed $685,000. And we had some miscellaneous discussion about 1700 natural, the gas aggregation payers who were not properly added to the gas aggregate, and we're waiting for more word from POCO on that. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Stoll. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Welfare, Safety, and Public Relations met on March 9th here in council chambers. Excuse me. We had one request for legislation. It was a letter from Chief David M. Polachek requesting legislation to allow amendments to Chapter 1604 of the Barberton Codified Ordinances. And we had nothing further, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Ms. Beck, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rules,
Beck
Marketing,
online.
and Development has nothing to report this evening, and with that, I pass.
Thank you. Mrs. Miller, Environmental Health and Social Services.
Environmental Health and Social Services has nothing to report this evening, and with that, I pass.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, City Properties and Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. The City's Properties, Parks, and Recreation Committee met on March 9th with no new requested legislation. However, miscellaneous discussion, Hofstadter, Higley, and GPD presented the new City Hall and Justice Center project to council. And with that, I pass.
Thank you. Mr. Moore. Brian Pullman, Finance and Personnel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance and Personnel met today. March 16th at 6:16. We had a request for legislation from Mayor Bill Judge requesting an ordinance of 1023 Barberton Residential Service Relief Program. That was put on the consent agenda. Then we had another legislation, a letter from Lisa Miller, Law Director, requesting legislation to authorize payment of Rizzio and Andreas in the amount of $12,613.50 owed. That was placed on the consent agenda. And then I had a letter from Mayor William B. Judge requesting legislation celebrating and honoring the city of Barberton's 135th anniversary, including Founder's Day on March 23rd, including the 250th anniversary of the United States. Emergency wording and one reading requested. That was put on the consent agenda. And then we adjourned at 6:26. Then, Mr. President, do we continue on with the budget now?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you have a list of,
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
A few budgets this evening, so we're going to start out with Parks and Recreation. We have utilities, water treatment, wastewater treatment, collection and distribution, and also courts. Turn over to Parks and Rec.
Good evening. Don Patterson, this is Tammy Simmons, our assistant. We'll go right into the Parks and Recreation budget. Starts on page 73 of 178. So through the front lines, you have the director salary, clerk senior, actually on the salary got moved up to the top of the line. The rest is the healthcare, PDRS, compensation, clothing allowance, gym memberships, that top section. Any questions on it? All right, we move down into the bottom section. The first section is training and travel. There's a little more in there because we actually added our park maintenance guys. We just had a guy just go get his playground safety instructor, inspector certification, as well as other certifications for them. Professional services, the second one, that's the YMCA contract. Other big number, the 20,000, that was for our marketing advertising program guy, and actually our registration software, ActiveNet, that we work with. At the bottom, I sent you all our walkthrough assessment of the parks. We need quite a bit of improvements. The main thing right now is to get mulch and border. I mean, some of our playgrounds have zero, so we want to definitely get mulch and border, as well as we need to get the dugout fixed at the complex. We need some more fencing players at Edgewood Park. And then we have a list of other projects. We still have the Waltz project that was still left over from last year. When the weather breaks, the ground gets hard, the guys will get in there and get those baskets. So, any questions on this page?
Will the fencing at Edgewood impact opening the pickleball courts?
They should be opening back up.
Okay.
Our guys are just cleaning everything out right now. So they started up at Tusk, they should get at Edgewood this week.
Okay. Thank you.
Is the mulch and border specifically for specific parks?
It's
that-
for all of the parks.
We would cover all the parks,
Yes.
get new mulch and border?
Yes.
Okay. Is that, sorry. Is there like a timeline on that? Would that be like an early
So
priority?
as soon as the budget's passed, we're jumping on it. I mean, Christmas is number one on our list. I mean, there's nothing there. But as soon as it's passed, we're hitting the ground running. All right, if there's no questions there, we can go to page 74 of 178.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Patterson, I have a question.
Yes.
At Everly Well Park, what are those things in the back that look like antennas?
It must be got,
Yeah, what is it?
I'm sorry, I think it's not. We've been working with the Eagle Scouts. There's a boy, Dane, who is working towards get his Eagle Scout badge. So originally they were going to install bat and purple martin houses
Okay.
at Harder Park.
Okay.
But if they were to install those, we'd have to like take them out once we did the pollinator garden. So we met with Cruz on Friday
Okay.
and switched after speaking with Service Director Todd. We decided to switch those to Everly Web Park,
Okay.
so it is part of
I
the
just wondered,
birds and bat houses.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, this might be for me. So you mentioned the parks maintenance training earlier.
yes.
Does that not fall under service?
They don't have a fund line. Well, they reached out to me because they were trying to put it in their budget. They didn't have a fund line for training and travel.
Okay.
So we put it in ours.
So
But-
service has the park maintenance people, they just wanted the training to come through
Yes.
you guys. Okay, got it. And then so you mentioned like the Walt basketball hoops. So would that come out of the
No.
80, or that would just be the park maintenance?
They've already, the hoops have already been purchased.
Right.
It's just the labor that needs to be done.
So it'd be more than the maintenance
Yes.
budget. Okay, thank you.
And it's just, the park sits down in a bowl, so it gets wet and soggy, so they gotta wait till the right time of the year. They'll actually make an access drive and get down in there. and get a boat. But they're very good commercial baskets. They should last as long as we're here. I mean, they have to go in and go down in the ground and put like the base. And I mean, it takes about 3 days to put each of them in. Yes.
Are they the same hoops that you've already placed at Tusk Park?
Yes.
Okay.
And moving forward, that's the hoop we're looking to replace all the hoops.
So on the hoop thing, this might be more for Todd. What happened last year that 2 at Tusk got done, but 2 at Waltz did not get done? Just, I mean, we spent $16,000 on 4 hoops, and only half the project got done.
I can.
Or you got, okay, I just don't know, like, for me, clarification for everyone, you handle the park maintenance with people as well?
Well,
No. Okay.
kind of, no. But I know what happened.
Okay.
When you had the question, I reached out to them, and originally we were only going to buy the 2 hoops from Waltz. Someone hit the hoops at Tusk, and it was leaning. So we bought 2 more, and we prioritized the ones that were broke, and then now we're going to follow back. up
Getting
with
that
the
fixed.
ones.
Oh, got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, page 74. Top is basic, it's the same as the other sheets. Bottom, we have our gas bill, electric bill, program supplies, and cleaning service and supplies. Yes.
So we didn't use the actual for the program supplies. Are we anticipating in increasing programs for the year, or
Yes.
do we have to buy about 7,000 from the expectation?
Yes.
Or, okay.
More of them, we're doing more trips with the seniors. So that's right. There's no questions on 74. We can move to page 75 of 178. That's, again, the top is the wages, OPRS, that type of thing. First one up there is contracted services. That account looks a little funny because we actually used the money for some of the operating supplies, so we actually transferred some of that money down from contracted services down to operating supplies last year. But we do use that service for our music permits. We have added more in there. We actually had an indoor concert series here, mixed with comedy and some things like that for the winter, as well as like our organ service at the building and the fountain. which is pretty much, this is what it's been every year in fall. We don't need mileage and reimbursement when operating supplies. Any questions on page 75? All right, the next one will be page 104 of 178, which is the complex. Wages, salaries, that's our overtime. Our guys use overtime for the weekend tournaments. We just go down to contracted services. The first one is the treatment of the actual playing fields treated, not the area around it every year. Travel training is again for the guys. I get a lot of education and development things, so I send them went to Akron Rubber Ducks to learn how to work on some fields and things like that. So that's just for them to keep up with the field maintenance. League expenses, we have our adult leagues that run pretty much May through October. Repair and maintenance, so miscellaneous sprinkler heads, that type of thing. And then another big number you see is the 19. It was to help out the service partner was going to help get a gator. Electrical power. Any questions? We'll move to page 111 of 178. It's Parks Revolving Fund. The top is the same as usual. At the bottom, the professional services, that number is for our audio setup for the concerts. Most of the bands do not have it, so we provide the audio for them. We've been getting more requests for memorial trees. That we use that for the benches too. Any questions on 235? Yes.
Who pays for the memorial trees?
Actually, the customers pay for them, but we have to put money in the budget to actually buy it. They actually pay for it.
Okay. Thank you.
What kind of memorial trees are we buying?
We put a pause on it. I'm actually working with Todd with the service department. We've been getting a lot of the benches, so it's mainly been benches, but we have to have a discussion on the trees. Definitely doesn't need to be the little ones that were getting broken in the past. We need to get something more adult type tree.
Okay, thank you.
Move on to page 130 of 176. That is the beautification fund.
I can talk about it if you guys have any questions on any of those. You can go through those and look at those. I know first big number, 25,000. That's supplies and hand tools. That's anything within the mum gardens that we need, any type of sprinkler system, if anything comes with that. That is also something that you did as an emergency fund for the trees in the parks. So if there's anything that comes up, that's kind of our backup for that.
Like the storms we had last year. That
Now you're gonna look at the two numbers for donation expenditures and mom celebration. Obviously, you guys know that it takes a lot of money to run the Mum Fest, and if any of you want numbers, I can show you numbers. I've got everything line item, that everything I spend, I'm already budgeted up right now to 66,000. It costs at least that much every year, if not more, depending on increases in prices. This year, we do not get the cuttings for free because Aris is no longer sponsoring us, because I don't know what's going on with Aris, but they were going to cost us a lot more money to have to buy them this year. We are buying them from a place called Mast, Young Plants out of Michigan. We're spending $4,500 and some dollars to have them shipped here, and then obviously the cost of the cuttings. Normally we have that donated. I don't have that luxury this year. So that's, an addition to my increase on my budget. Then with everything else that we're doing, if anyone wants to see what my numbers are, I got them, you can see what I spend and then you can see what I bring in. So if there's any questions there. 7,000, the Christmas lights, I know that's a big deal, but here's the deal with that. We repurpose and refurbish a lot of things. My guys are good at, the guys down in maintenance are good at refurbishing some things, and last year we just refurbished just a new tree that we're gonna put out. I've been in discussion with Ronnie about what things might need to be replaced next year. Just because some of them are getting older and we can't keep fixing them. Some years I used 2 years ago, not last year, but the year before, I bought a brand new tree for the gazebo because the one I bought a few years before was a little squatty. And I have to admit that I didn't like what it looked like anymore, so we took that one away. And we put the one we have there now. There's always upgrades of bulbs. Next year I'll know, this year out of this budget I'll need to get bulbs because I didn't order any last year because we had a good supply. Always try to make sure they have what they need. New cords, new mats, and we always have a little bit saved there because if anything goes on or wrong with those timers, they're not your usual, let's, turn them on, plug them in timers. Those boxes are pretty intricate, so if anything goes wrong with that, I'd like to have a little bit of money in that to make sure that we're able to cover it, because unless you guys want to go back out and turn off lights again for me, I'm sure that we're all happy that we have the new timers. Any questions? Yes?
A question about the Christmas lights. So since you didn't spend like 6,000 of that, is there any way, it's close to the end of the year, but knowing that you didn't spend anything to
Yeah,
get something
I thought
new?
about that, and I usually do.
Okay.
But that just I didn't spend any of that money at the end of last year. So.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Could you explain again what donation expenditure is?
Yes, the donation expenditures are any donations that we get in, such as sponsorships. That is part of what I use for MomFest. So I solicit for sponsors, and that's tiered for everything. And then, obviously I can't have that money right away. This is what we're budgeting for right now. But that money is what comes in, or what I bring in through either sponsorships or crafter vendors, food vendors, whatever, those three vendors, commercial vendors. That comes in as the donations. I ring that in under donations, and then that goes to fund anything I need for the MomFest.
Got it. Thank you.
So a lot of people don't understand how it works, but when we get a donation, we can't use that physical money to pay for something. We have to put money in the budget to pay for it. When the donation comes in, we put it back, we put it into the budget.
Yeah, it's put into the donation, to the income line. All sponsorships, all donations are income lines, not expenditure lines. So obviously we budget for the expenditure lines right now, and then obviously look at what trying to bring in to cover that. So. Yes?
Just one more. So with the supplies and hand tools, you said some of that's for MomFest? And
It's for the gardens. It's for anything that we might need for the gardens.
Or
Like
parks.
every other year, I'm putting sweet pea into those gardens. Brian wants to go on a schedule trying to get sweet pea in some of those flower beds too, so that will come out. I spent at least $3,000 putting sweet pea in the mum gardens last year. You have to, because if you don't, you've got a lot. Then it's fungicide, it's herbicides, it's any other chemicals that I need to put in those mum gardens to make them grow. Because if you understood what it took, Brian, to get those to grow, we probably shouldn't be growing anything in that dirt. It's a miracle that any of that actually grows anything, to be honest. So.
okay. Well, you also mentioned, was that like the emergency line that you also mentioned for
Yes.
some tree maintenance
Yes.
throughout the city?
Yep.
Okay.
Through the parks.
Well, yeah, sorry. Through
Okay.
the parks in the
Just
city.
making
Yes.
sure I clarify.
Yeah. So is that something, kind of looking at the Christmas lights, that we could, towards the end of the year after MomFest, maybe prioritize some of the dead trees?
Yes.
Maybe if we have it left over.
We have to move the money in the fund line, but we.
Yeah.
And you also need to, we've consulted with Barberton tree before. There are times to cut trees and times not to cut trees.
Got it.
And then sometimes at the end of the year is not a time to cut trees.
Understood.
Sometimes it is. Like they did 2 years ago, they came in and did around the lake, which looked awesome. So it depends. In consulting with them, you would want to consult with them to say what would be a good time, when it would not be.
Understood.
And yes, that can be moved if I haven't used it, if I didn't buy another piece. That can always be used.
Sure,
So, yeah.
good,
Yeah.
thank you, appreciate it.
Yep.
The last page is page 176 and 178.
Yeah, that's me too. We could go through and look down the lines of any of that stuff. Some of our, special programming, maintenance and repairs. If you look at that, I will say this on maintenance and repairs. Last year, not 25, but in 24, the beginning of 25, we had a problem with the heating in, at the senior center. And that was like an extra $1,200 that I did not have budgeted. We had to budget some stuff in. So we put a little bit more in just on the safe side in case some of that comes up again. We have issues with some of the, I don't want to call them thermostats, they're called zone areas, I don't know, but they turned our one room into just a thermostat again because the zone areas didn't work in that room again, and I had issues with that. So we just kind of threw that little extra in there, but that's any type of maintenance stuff sometimes. We are responsible for our building, so we make sure that we've got some money there to repair. You're talking toilets that go bad, water fountains, air conditioning, heating, hot water, cold water, any of that stuff, and that stuff ends up coming out of something that we need to make sure we have a budget for. You can look through any of that, any other questions, van trips, just so that you understand, whenever I take my seniors on a van trip, and we have to go to, say, I'm going Friday night over up to Civic, one of their theaters, I have to buy tickets for them ahead of time. I can't take their money that they give me for what they're doing and then turn around and buy tickets. I've got to take their money, put it in the income budget, or put it in the income fund, and then take what I need, what I budgeted for to buy that. It's $400 I spent on 13 seniors for, Friday night. So we do 2 or 3 of those type trips each month. So that's where, if you're looking at that fund line, that's where that money goes. And then in the community service line on the bottom, that's another one of the bigger ones. That is anything that we use. If you've ever been in our center, we do coffee. I have all kinds of dinners. I need tablecloths for different programs. I need creamer. If you knew how much some of the guys used creamer. They do a coffee fund, and we have a coffee fund that then goes back into an income fund for us, but it doesn't cover what they use and what I use for them. So, Thanksgiving, for instance, I can't get donations from people to do turkeys anymore. Used to get it, I don't now, because nobody wants to mess with it. So I go to Hartford Market and I buy, for that dinner, I buy, the turkey for the dinner. We charge them a minimal amount, but $3 per head doesn't cover $500 worth of turkey, okay? So all of that special services, some of that community service, they're allowed to, if they want to bring a spouse that's maybe not a member, so we use that as part of the community service, they're allowed to bring somebody in and follow that. So that's why that looks like that as well. Any other questions for that?
That is it for us. Any other questions?
Thank
Feel
you.
free to reach out by email, phone call if you got any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's kind of unfair, but all the budgets today are gonna have multiple pages, so. Bring up Mr. Incavati for the courts.
With that preface of multiple pages, right?
Yeah. Mr. President and council members, thank you for having me here. Appreciate being able to kind of go over what the court's budget is. That's what I'm here for. So maybe start kind of at the top of what's the court comprised of, right? Who we're funding here. And you'll see that I've got 2 101 general funds, and then there's about 6 special project funds that comprise what we do here. And that isn't Katie. I understand you had clerk reports here. She has her own operation, a separate elected clerk, and she runs her own operation. What we have for the court are essentially 2 judges, right? Each one of them has a full-time judicial bailiff, that the wheels on the ground to make the operation go. Have a magistrate that we employ full-time that handles mostly our civil stuff, right? He'll handle the eviction cases, and they'll handle the cases for money claims and damages claims. They'll process all those. That really strictly just becomes his bailiwick there. And then I've got an outside service bailiff that handles service of process and put-outs and mobilization for vehicles that have to be mobilized because of OBI, right? Those types of things. So that's a full-time individual, retired Summit County Sheriff deputy that still carries and is able to go off and handle that process for us outside of that. There is a city-owned, when we bought it, there's a city-owned service vehicle that he does that with, right? So he takes that vehicle and does his outside service bailiff work with that court vehicle. And then we got the real workers, we have the probation department, 4 probation officers, 1 all full-time. A chief that has just kind of started this year after Rebecca, and I gotta take a minute to say, Rebecca Dilbeck was our chief probation officer, like ever, she just built that department, right? We rely on probation an awful lot. We don't send people to the county jail. County jail doesn't take individuals that we deal with here, right? It's just not a part of their protocol. We can't send as much as sometimes we get 1 or 2 people that we'd really like to send to the jail, right? So we rely on programming. We rely on Oriana House programming, CASC. This is just a local community incarceration type facility. Really don't house people here in the jail downstairs. Maybe a timeout at best, right? But we don't use the facility on premises here for anything like that at all. So it really relies on probation department and the workers there to kind of find those programming, get them into those facilities, and then we coordinate payment through several different funds that we use. So with our budget, we'll have 2 general fund budgets, 2 one-on-one fund budgets. The first one is the court one, and you can see that on page 50. And paid out of that, with the personal services, you'll have, the judges are paid out of that. The judges are paid really out of 3 separate sources. The city contributes to it, and the state of Ohio contributes to it, and the county contributes to it. Then the bailiffs that we mentioned, right? Our 2 judicial bailiffs are paid from that fund. Our outside service bailiff is paid from that fund. And the court administrator, that's what I do. The court administrator is paid from that fund. So those are the individuals that are covered under that one-on-one general expenditures fund, right? So you have personal services, those are the individuals that are covered there, including 2 part-time court security officers, right? We help with the city and pay for your screening here at the front door, right? But that is not an armed individual. Don't want to pay for an armed individual at that, or the city doesn't own we. But for Supreme Court best practices, we need armed security here on this floor. We call this floor the court, which it is. We need armed security here. So we have 2 part-time retired Summit County Sheriff deputies. It's nice because their commission to carry covers the jurisdictions that we deal with, and so they are here, and there are armed security, if you will, for the floor. So they are here during their court operation periods. We use 2 guys as part-time, save some money there, right? So they are also part of that bailiff structure. Then the rest, any questions there? But with operations and maintenance, I'll cover that one too. There's not a lot that you see. I mean, we do spend money in the court. We try to push as much of that as possible off into these special project funds that we'll talk about here a little bit later and what they're funded for. However, they're a creature of statute, and so we're limited within each one as to what we can spend that money on, and we'll touch briefly on that. But certainly welcome any questions on that page, on that 101. All right, so the next 101 is probation, and that is page 69. They are 4235, page 69. And I mentioned we have 4 full-time probation officers. 3 of them are paid from this fund, including the chief, and then the 2 first senior probation officers. You'll note that the actual expenditures this year, if anybody kind of noted that, were down considered what we budgeted and what we presented to you this year for 2026. Well, that was Rebecca finding she needed to take off. We sailed without her for a little bit and realized just how near and dear she was and how important she was. And we were also kind of re-envisioning potentially that department, right? What do? Do we need a chief probation officer? We have 3 very capable probation officers left. They do a wonderful job. They're all to do. Is it a situation where we needed a chief? Do we need maybe another equal to come in and kind of divide that? And it turned out really that we did need a chief and a nice opportunity to hire a retired detective from Barberton, Dr. Jameson. He came in and has the background from law enforcement and social connection services, right? Connections with the jail, connections with some of the law enforcement end of that probation benefits from that are currently full-time probation officers don't necessarily have directly. So it was a nice fit. So 3 of the 4, the chief and then the 2 senior ones are continuing to be paid out of that 101 account. And again, operations and maintenance, we're going to push most of that off into a 208 fund, which is a statute-created probation services fund, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's where we fly to next. unless you have questions on this one. So what you have on page 93 is the probation services fund on page 93. And there's two primary sources of revenue here. I'll start with the top one that you see, the OMAS grant, the Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services grant. That is, we have a specialized drug court docket, right? So I'd say certified by the Supreme Court. It is a drug court program where we are able to provide some additional services to those individuals that have had that struggle, that are going through that struggle, and that's a large reason why we've landed here. They are individuals on screen that they participate in that we can use that money for their benefit, if you will. Treatment. You know, do they need community support? There's counselors that are associated with them. We use ARC often, and they are paid through those funds, right? So you look at that expenditure, look at that revenue, and then that expenditure down below is a washout. We get that money from the state every year, and we expend that money every year. So that's an income and an outgo that is going to be flat out, and we'll net zero there. Supervision fees is really what that probation fund is generated by, and what fluctuates year to year. And they are just really, as it sounds, they're supervision fees, money that probation charges an individual for providing the service. Are you on reporting probation? Are you participating in a certain program that we have to help you get your license back? There are fees associated with those, and as much as we can collect them, first is like trying to help them get where they need to go. And if the fees are available, then we will charge them and assess them. You'll see that then it's tough to kind of hold that line, and that number goes down a little bit, but at the same time, we also want to provide those services, so we do rely on luckily some of the other funds that the state's loosened up. Here's where you'll see, though, our 4th probation officers paid fully out of this fund, and then larger operation expenses now, all right, where you didn't see that in the 101 general fund account, you'll see it coming out of here. Been able to kind of keep that balance floating here, but when you see probation officers training and travel, we certainly want to get them involved and have them learn some of the best practices out here. But that professional services request budgeted in 20, that is one of several pools in these specialized service funds where we're going to pay for CAS. We're going to pay for somebody to sit into, quite frankly, it could be psychological counseling, it could be assessments, it could be anything that will come underneath that. Lie detector tests, right? We'll run one or two of those things. Urine tests, blood tests, things of that nature. They're paid for that. So that's what's coming through those funds. Any questions there? Yes.
Do we do lie detector tests in-house?
Not in-house. No, that's a really good question. It's a really good question. Because a lot of the stuff, that we do could potentially be in-house, like ankle monitoring, scram bracelets, right, that monitor alcohol, or house arrest stuff. We can purchase those. We can run that. Now, of course, you'll need a certified examiner to go through and do that. And Bill Evans is one of the local guys. I actually found it. I'm still having a tough time believing this, but it's happened twice. A company in Cincinnati that has come up here and provided the service to us, either an eye scan or this galvanic skin response type thing, cheaper than we got here local. So it's like, well, we're all about that, and been reliable. So we will do that, and not often. It really comes down to a stare down. Like you're saying you didn't use that substance. Is what it's been in most instances. I didn't. Take a lie detector test on that, and counsel sometimes will pay it. And honestly, what will happen is, and it will work, if they fail, we're going to charge you. We're going to ask you to pay for that, right? If you pass, okay, hey, good for you, and we're glad you're not using it. But if you fail, you're going to pay for it. And so far, that has worked. It doesn't happen often, but it's every once in a while. So that's the odd one that kind of jumps to mind. Any other questions for that? So then we go to the next page, 94. 94 is the court special projects operation. And this is generated by statute. Our revised code allows us to charge up to a reasonable fee for the operation and maintenance of courts, right? It can be broad, but it definitely is the operation of court procedures. And so currently it runs at $69 in our court cost. And while the statute doesn't place a certain number on this particular charge, while it does on others, we've got to be careful on what it is, right? You certainly heard stories of court costs in other jurisdictions that have just gotten unwieldy and are just unreasonable, right? So we really do, when we make an adjustment, look to see, and it's been a number of years since we've done it, where are we sitting? You know, really, certainly both within the demographic here, and then also, you know, the traffic that comes through, where are our costs reasonable in conjunction with what we see going on in other jurisdictions. And so that one is generated by a $69 fee on the first and second counts in criminal cases, and also dispositions. You'll see there's two lines of that with the revenue. Dispositive motions is actually civil cases, so a dispositive motion on a civil case, move to dismiss, move for summary judgment, move for a civil motion, and there's going to be a dispositive motion fee for them to file that, and then that is the dispositive motion. Civil division has been going, their numbers are up. Their people, and which is nice to see people using the court to resolve their differences as opposed to anywhere else, but our civil numbers are up. As opposed to collection on criminal and traffic cases. Let me take just a second to explain this. We're facing something that we're not easily dealing with. It's a 20% hit on us on these special project funds that fund it. Used to, until April of last year, if someone didn't pay their fines and costs, right, you would see jurisdictions throughout the state of Ohio municipal courts would place a hold on their license, right? Hold on your license. Nope, you're not renewed. So you need to come see that court, wherever that may be in the state of Ohio, for them to give you a court-ordered release that you now get your license. And basically that is, let's get you back on the payment plan, let's do something reasonable. Some courts would say, no, you need to pay all of it before we release that, right? And the people we're dealing with, they didn't have that, especially now they got multiple courts. So what started happening? They were driving without license, driving without insurance, and it just became more of a deep hole for an individual to try to dig out of, and they just didn't dig out of it, right? They'd come see us with multiple jurisdictions on their tail, and we said, look, get us $50, $25 a month if you can't do that, right? We'll release our hold, go take care of the other courts. And they didn't. What happened because of that, because other courts are just not working well with them, they have removed that ability, so now we can no longer do that. Okay, I get that, there's some big positive side to it, but we've seen about a 20% drop in people coming to us saying, hey, I need to get this whole off my license, okay? So as a result of the case, the costs associated with the case and the charge will drop 20%. So we're careful about that and watching where we go with it, especially since we pledged certain things as we go. And we budget for, but so far it's okay, right? But we're watching carefully to see what other ideas are happening. Is there any question on that one? You'll see most of those professional services in 209, same kind of thing, paying cash, paying for some of the office supplies are really all carried out here instead of the general fund, and that will take care of that. And I go to 210 on page 95. That's Katie's. That's the clerk of courts computer fund, which is nice. Their statute changed from $10 to $20 per case, and so we took advantage of that. And if you look at the income level of what we projected and what the actual is, that's showing that statutory change of her being able to charge $20 for that, right? So there's a benefit there, but again, it's nice you create that fund, you have that fund balance, but it is by statute restricted as to what you can spend it on, right? So it is for the computerization of the clerk of courts. So 210's got to stay there. You'll see that we kind of set aside some for personal services because we do some in-house, our own IT without getting into too much trouble, but we take care of some of the things directly that way. If you look at professional services, we budget a large amount for that, right? $325,000. That is generally geared towards the case management system that we run, right? The new case comes in, it's entered into a database, it's entered into the court management system, the case management system, and it tracks the case. When the cases are scheduled, it's scheduled through the court, right? The case management system handles that. When the cases finally come up and they're on the docket that day, the case management system spits out those are the cases there. It holds the addresses, they hold the social security numbers, they hold all that data for the cases. And every once in a while, we use a company called Henshin. They're out of Cincinnati. Not the glossiest interface at all. There's certainly some nicer ones out there when you look at how sharp and everything they work, but they are expensive. They do what we need them to do, and we're not running into trouble. If you talk to some of the other courts that have gone to some of the glitzier ones, oh my gosh, they're pulling their hair out, right? So like, maybe we're good here, maybe we're good. So we still budget that amount for any changes that might happen with it as we go more towards a paperless environment, which is a big pull, right? To try to take a court out of a physical file environment and go strictly to a paperless environment. That's a tough pull for us even. But we gotta go there, right? So that's ultimately envisioning us doing some of that experience. So that's 210. Any questions? Move you right along. What do you next? 214 on page 99. So that is the court legal research. Okay. So that's $3 for the court. So it gets, we have $3 per case that we charge for the court. That's the same kind of thing. I can buy equipment with that. It works well for me. I pay for legal research, which is basically LexisNexis or Claim-Dexter. That's its own separate line item. That number is a contract that we work and pass through you guys every 3 years. And then the other is strictly just, do I need to update a computer here? Do we need to buy toner cartridge? Do we need things related to the computer networking of the court? And that's it. And ultimately, we do pay for some of the personnel expenses out of that to try to share some personnel expenses as someone that's running around doing that, like me. And so ultimately, that's kind of the restriction that we have. You can pay for court computerization, you can pay for court legal research. Then the last one is on 102. That is the Indigent Drivers Alcohol Treatment Fund, right? So this is an interesting one, and I know you guys have a lot going on tonight. I want to just try to make this short. So these are from OVI cases, right? OVI cases, physical control cases. So it is money that when you pay that mandatory, there's a mandatory minimum fine for your OVI. Based on the number of OVIs you may have had, but even if it refers, there's a mandatory minimum fine, $375. Can't give any less than a fine in this mandated by state. That gets paid into Katie. Katie will then send a fair portion of that down to Columbus, right? And then Columbus, over the course of the year, kicks that back to courts throughout the state, and basically depending upon who we've had. So that is by statute our IDAP fund. So it is to be used for indigent drivers alcohol treatment programs. So I've got an individual here now by the statute. So IDAP is an individual charged with an OVI offense, does not have funds to pay for any treatment, assessment, or help, right? We can use IDAP funds for that. But they have to be indigent and it has to be an OVI offense. That's a small pocket for us. So granted, you get OVI cases, but those individuals that need it, that's a small pocket. So that number grew over the years, right? And it did statewide. So idiom is the other one. It's money coming back from the state that we would use for immobilization. I can put the club on the car, I can put the breathalyzer on the car, right? All of that. I can pay for idiom there. But that also, as that money kicks back to us, this is such a narrow window, and again, it has to be somebody that's indigent, that can't otherwise afford it, and it has to be an OVI case. So those narrow areas really, across the state, created larger funds for most municipal boards. So what we have now is that last line of IDAP surplus. Okay. So I can take extra money, I can make a determination with an ADM board here in Summit County that we have enough money in our ADM account that I can transfer to IDAP. IDAT, I mentioned a minute ago, was already big. So now I got a bigger IDAT account. By statute, I can transfer IDAT now into an IDAT surplus account. IDAT surplus account opens me up to do training, treatment, assessment, transportation for any criminal offense here for defendant, any indigent defendant, any criminal offense that needs assessment, needs treatment, needs transportation. And that was much better. Use it more, you'll see some of those numbers jump up. The last change they made about a year and a half ago is I can also use it now for any Supreme Court certified specialized docket program, any legitimate expense for our drug court. Thank you. So another spot where we can use it for payment of personnel and things of that nature. So you see those numbers jump up, and we're trying to then push a lot of those expenses into those accounts. So limited by statute, but at least they've opened up the statute for me a little bit. We can expect it. Some other questions? Yeah.
What's the price difference between a not armed and an armed security guard?
At your front gate, I honestly don't know without looking, because we've had it down there since 2016, and I don't know. Like our guys here are, they are 40, and we're getting 40 to, depending where, up to $75 an hour. Where once and twice as much. And I certainly feel more comfortable using retired deputies, right? That are here, that I know have maintained their certification, that are commissioned through the Summit County Sheriff's Office, and they provide that documentation to me every year, and I know that I trust that operation quite well as opposed to some private third-party company. And again, we've been serviced very well by U.S. Roads, but when we take it to that next level, then a lot more is in play. Excellent question. Anything else? Okay, thank you for your time, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we'd like to take a 5-minute break here before we finish. comment?
Well, one.
We'll call this meeting back to order.
All right, Mr. Denny Weaver is going to talk about water
Yeah.
treatment plants and wastewater treatment plants.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you. I'm going to start on page 146. That is sewer revenue. And sewer revenue, you can look at page 146, you'll see there are multiple lines that are sources of revenue. It starts with sewer tap-in fees, and most of that comes from a $1,600 fee for new connections. We've had quite a few in recent years, more than in the past. And sewage usage charges, those are the fees that come in from our customers for the services that we provide, for the collection of sewage and also the treatment of it. Norton loan reimbursement, that is for the Nash Heights sewer. We carry the loan, City of Norton pays the debt. So they pay that every year. It doesn't cost us anything, just we was able to get a lower interest loan, a better loan than they was able to. Dumping fees, that is from septic haulers. They come to the plant, they dump, we charge $45 a thousand this year, and that's where that revenue comes from. And county billing, we have a line that comes in from the county, and that brings in wastewater from outside the city. There's a master meter, and then we bill the county for that treatment. Assessment collections is, that's bills that were unpaid, and then we assess those on the property taxes once a year. And looking down those lines, is there anything there that you have a question on? Yes, sir.
Yeah, is there any projection or understanding as to why the tap-in fees were significantly lower than the expectation from last year?
Yeah, it has, we make our best guess on that, but it all depends how many houses are built. And so we have been doing pretty well at dipped. We've got Trucian Farms coming next year, and there are still more going to Brookside Greens. So, we may see a little uptick this year.
Okay, cool. Do we advertise that out to other areas that we can service, but don't particularly?
We don't advertise.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, but we do have some capacity, and then with the expansion that we're going to go through, there will be more capacity to, we'll be better able to do that. As a matter of fact, the county is looking to bring in a second line. We negotiated that back in 2017 for the rates, and we should see a nice bump when that in revenue when that line comes in.
Is that something we can already maintain, or is that what's the project completion?
Well, we could maintain it now.
Okay.
We have an occasional bypass, like say some years we wouldn't have one, but that's something EPA is eliminating. That's the biggest reason for the expansion that we're doing. But with that expansion, we'll go from an average of 6 million gallons a day up to 9 million gallons a day. So that would be a big benefit.
Oh, thank you.
Anything else on that? The other thing I want to mention is rates are increasing. They're going up 5%, and that's on water and sewer. So a minimum bill, so using 2,500 gallons a month would go up $1.85 for a month. And a family using 5,000 gallons, and that's quite a bit, would go up $3.70 a month. And what I did is took a look at the Ohio EPA does a rate survey annually, and that's put together by Ohio State University. Then once they compile that, they publish them on their site. The newest one they have, or the most recent, is from 23. They've done surveys in 24 and 25, but I compared our rates to the 23 rates and that's average across the state of Ohio. We are $267.77 under the 23 rates on average for the state of Ohio. That amounts to $22.31 per month less than the average 23 rate across the state. Actually, our rates are pretty competitive, so we never like to raise rates, and that's the one thing we don't want to do. But we do have to maintain our revenue. We have to be able to, of course, with inflation, we pay more in wages, we pay more in repair parts, everything we do, even for the utilities that we utilize. So it's something we just have to stay ahead of. We want to continue to do water lines, replacements, and work on what we call I&I, or inflow and infiltration, into the sewer system. So those are things that we need to maintain. Otherwise, that would actually degrade us further as far as our ability to maintain a budget. Because it's fixing water mains is expensive, and treating water that we wish we didn't have to is expensive as well. Yes, sir.
This might be more of a Jeremy question, I don't know. But, so if it's a 5% increase for everyone who uses our water, is that correct?
Yeah.
Is it possible to raise a 1% on the outside people who use our water to maintain our price for our citizens?
The rates that we charge outside the city are by agreement. There's agreements that was approved by council here, by council, at the city of Norton, same with the county. And so those are by agreement. And so those can't be changed, but their rates go up just like ours do. When ours go up 5%, theirs go up 5%.
Got it. Okay.
If it's a sewer rate, city of Norton pays 1.5 times the Barberton rate.
Right.
And we receive all of that revenue. On water, we get 1.225 times the Barberton rate, and then they charge 27.5% fee on top of that. So they're paying 1.5 rate on the water as well.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So if there's no questions on that, on the rest of the revenue, we can jump to the next page. That's page 147. And this is sewer administration. Sewer administration is kind of mirrors the budget for water administration. Many of the same people, almost all the same people are paid from sewer administration as they are from water administration. The thing is, no one is paid 100% from either one of those funds. Such as myself, I'm paid from 50% sewer, 50% water. The city administration, like Mr. Shreve is paid for portions out of water and sewer, the mayor, the secretaries there, as well as HR, finance department, includes Jeremy, and also law department, and even a portion of the council clerk is paid from water and sewer. So all of these different wage splits are taking place in these administration budgets. And the reason we're doing that is all of those departments, or all of those people, contribute, to the utilities department. Finance is where we're handling a lot. It's, they're taking care of our billing. They, for those bills going out, they take care of all of our purchase orders, and our payments all go through them. So there's much that they do for them, so we pay a good portion of the operation of the financing. So that's much of what is occurring in that administration budget. We do have a professional services here, and that has to do with some consulting for sewer projects, design for bidding projects, and also when we have repairs, many times we have to get consulting to get some help with those projects. The Swisscom, that's just our portion of paying for IT for utilities department. You'll see a like amount over on the water side. repair, maintenance, and that's pretty much managed on the, from the finance department, but it's an outside service department and some repairs and things that they would need or improvements with software and things on their end. And software maintenance, the same on the accounting software, billing software. And then we have a smart reader system in the city of Barberton. We read meters multiple times a day. So maintaining that software is called, what's called a fixed-based system. There's data collectors all through the city, and those data collectors collect the reads, and it is monitored by these companies, and then they also come out and maintain it, or if we have issues with the software, many times they tell us even before we see it. So it's a good surface. They have things, of course, some are self-explanatory, like copier lease. Then office space lease, we pay a portion of the lease for office space for the finance department. Of course, that'll go away once we move to a new facility. And advertising, that's for advertising bids. And we also have required public notices that we have to put in the paper at times. So that is pretty much that budget. Any question on the numbers through there?
What are the damage claims?
Occasion on the sewer side, there may be a case where we would pay the, say for, they get a drain service to come in and ran their drain. And, the plug was on our side, we tell them we don't want them to call a drain service, right off the bat. We want them to call us, because what if that plug is on the main sewer? It's going to impact other people. We want to find out as quickly as we can and go open that up.
Okay.
Because there would be less likely for them to, if they stop using water in their house, they're not going to, see that issue in their own basement as quickly as it would if it's backing up from everybody else in the neighborhood. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Then let's move on to that was 147. We can go to 148. And 148 is debt service. And of course, Jeremy handles most of this, but you can see all the different places that we're paying debt. DEFA, there's notes, there's a number of places where we're doing that. Our debt service is 16.5% of our total budget on the sewer side. And on those, Jeremy knows a lot more about the debt service. We talked about it a bit today, but thankfully he handles all of that. And wastewater treatment plant. That's on page 149. Okay, we also have a line in there for training and travel. We see that also in the administration budget, but both of those lines are there to help maintain our licenses. I hold licenses, but water treatment, wastewater treatment. Mr. Shreve also has licenses, both. And all of our operators in our treatment plant. We also have people with collection and distribution license at the water distribution collection garage. So we have quite a few people with licenses, and that helps us to maintain that. And the professional services there is, we are looking to replace a blower this year, and so that's one blower. It's like $300,000. So they'll have to be bid. They'll have to be installed. So we'll have those specs prepared by an engineering firm. We'll bid it, and that's where one of the things will come out of that. Plus, if we would run into some type of issue at the treatment plant, we can solve, and get some assistance on solving the problem. things like uniforms, you know, we provide uniforms and launder them at the wastewater plant. We don't want our operators or maintenance people taking those clothes home to have them laundered there. Testing is that is outside laboratories that run much of our testing. We do a lot in-house. All of our, for operational control, we do that. Those all ourselves. We'll run the BODs and suspended solids and, ammonia cycles and things we'll do ourselves. Then for heavy metals, things like that, we'll send out and have that done at an outside laboratory. It's just more cost effective. We would actually have to add another person if we ran all of that, and we'd have a lot of equipment to maintain for just a few samples. It's very economical when you take it someplace and they run a lot of samples. The repair and maintenance on the 2430 is when we use a contractor outside. Say if we needed to get a motor rewound or troubleshooting with electric, something that is something that we can't handle in-house, that would come from there. Chemicals for sludge disposal, and actually that includes a lot of chemicals that even our chlorine. We add chlorine to disinfect. We remove chlorine with sodium hypochlorite before it goes to the river, because you can't have chlorine in the water when it goes to the river. It could be harmful to the stream. We use polymers to help dewater our sludge, and it's just a whole array of things. And we're using alum we use to remove phosphorus. So there's a lot of chemicals that we use, and that's that lime. And the reason that bumps up now is we bid this once a year. We do it before the beginning of the year, so we've got a pretty good idea what we're going to face in next year's budget. Unfortunately, chemicals have risen on us again. So that's the difference in that budget. So we're just starting to see the bills on that new bid. Repair and maintenance supplies, and that's things like, replacing a motor or, some drive units, electrical repairs. We've got a team of 6 maintenance people that do a pretty good job. They're all based at the wastewater plant, but they're paid from people in water and across the city, because they take care of problems at the water plant, wastewater plant, at our various pump stations. We've got 8 pump stations on the sewer side, a number of booster pump station on the water. So we have a lot of infrastructure that we're maintaining. And of course, we're paying our gas bill and for electric as well, and even a small amount of property taxes that come out of our budget. But any question on wastewater plant? Yes.
I know this is probably a dumb question on budget, but what do we do with our sludge?
Not a dumb question at all. First we dewater it, and then, because you don't want to haul all that liquid,
No.
and then it turns to what we call a cake, and then we haul it to landfill. Now, we used to land apply it, and we would add lime to it. We'd take it to what they call a PFRP, a process to further reduce pathogens, and we would then land apply it on farm fields. It's become more difficult to line up farm fields, and so we started this process, just going to the landfill. It's actually worked out pretty well. It's been pretty comparable with land application.
Okay, and does it help the landfill?
It actually does, because the microorganisms and things help to break down even the waste and things that they have, because much of it's organic, and so you already have that, all of those microorganisms that will feed on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Miller, during my tour, I recommended that we sell it at the farmer's market, and the mayor said I could knock my socks off doing that.
Ah.
Never got off the ground.
There was a time when we took it to that level, with that PFRB level, and you actually can sell it, use it on home gardens, but we no longer do that. We work with the process. So, no, we couldn't.
Such a good
Everybody knocks
plan.
someone else's socks off.
Yeah. Right.
Everybody stops would come off.
Yeah, really.
Yes, sir.
And the capital, the 700,000, the phase 2, is that something that will be like fed into the loans that we've been talking
Yes.
about? Okay.
As a matter of fact, the 700,000 is for the design. At the time I did this, I didn't know the exact amount. The exact is 685,000. Is the ordinance that's going to be before you. And there is a zero interest loan that's on the revenue side that for the same amount.
Got it.
So, and then that would roll in.
Perfect, thank you.
And then, of course, we're going for principal forgiveness, and that's why I want all this in a loan to, because it gives us that opportunity to reduce the overall debt service.
Sure thing, thank you.
Okay, and on the down the page, with the capital too, you can see the blower replacement, and then on the equipment, and that is for pump replacements. Pumps and motors are very expensive. We've got 250 horse motors and 6 main gallon a day pumps. So this really wouldn't even cover like one of those. That 50,000 or even one 6 MGD pump, but it would help with repair parts. We generally rebuild them, and as much as possible. And then when we see we're getting to a point, we'll ask for more money to do a full replacement. And we've replaced a couple of them, but most of his pumps have been in since the 1988. Any more questions on wastewater? All right. On industrial pretreatment, one of the requirements we have from Ohio EPA is the regulation of our industrial contributors to the wastewater treatment plant. And their waste can be much stronger than residential waste. In most cases it is. And with this program, we sample that waste stream. It's analyzed, and most of that is done by an outside laboratory. And then from that analysis, we charge them back based on the strength of that wastewater. And then they also get charged back for us running the samples as well. So even at the line that you see for laboratory analysis, whatever we spend, we get back on that. And repair and maintenance, that $2,000, that has to do with samplers. We place samplers out the system and sample those industries. And if you notice, the wages was only like $89,000 on wages. That's 50% of 2 people. That we have our assistant plant manager. He's also the pretreatment coordinator. So that's half of his wages. And then one of our operators assists in going out and setting samplers and in that type of work as well. So that's how that is broken up. More waste place. But that is pre-treatment. Any questions on pre-treatment? Okay. I'm going to skip over collection because that's one that Mr. Shreve does, and I appreciate that very much. And that's an area that he managed for a number before he became service director, so he's very familiar with it. Much more than actually I spent most of my time in treatment. Water fund. Water fund, and you see the same type of lines, the water tap-in fees. We get $1,000 for system development charge, but we also charge to tap the main, and then we charge them for the materials that we use, the water line materials. We run that all the way to the edge of the right-of-way. We put it in a curb box or a valve box, and then that covers also the valves that are at the main and at the curb stop. So we are, that's where that money comes from. It's paying us back for some of the investment we've made. And that's what an SBC charge is, by the way, as well. Because that is based on the equity in the system. U.S. customers of the system have been paying off our debt service. And so when somebody new comes in, the fee is based upon the equity in the system. So they're paying a portion of what you've already paid, so that infrastructure is in place. So that's what that fee is also under suicide. So it's just trying to make things more equitable for everybody. They're coming in and they get to take advantage of everything that you want to do. Yes, sir.
Do we adjust it then, like when Norton puts up a water tower?
Don't see, well, we don't pay for that. Norton's paid 100% for that tower. It didn't cost us anything. And we will maintain things down the road. And it's just like the water lines in Norton actually belong to Norton, other than main distribution lines that come through and feed our city, or any of the trunks that come out. We maintain ownership of that, just like our water plant sits in Norton as well. But so those all belong to us. Sewer's different. We own 100% of the sewer system. We own all the sewer lines in Norton. And so that's why we keep 1.5 times the rate on the sewer, but it's 1.225 that we keep on the water side.
Is there a reason why sewer's one way and water's the other?
It's just the way it was negotiated, that the water agreement's been the same since 1997. And then with the Nash Heights, they had a Nash Heights neighborhood that basically had been condemned by Ohio EPA. They wasn't going to allow the septics to be improved anymore. They wanted them connected to a sanitary sewer. That they were ordered to do something and were going to be fined. And so that's when they brought us in, the county, made a 3-way agreement. We bought out the county, and Norton is actually, that Nash Heights sewer thing, a debt service on there, that's them paying for all those connections. They're collecting money from their citizens in the way of assessments and using that to help pay for it. But yes, but we own the lines, not even when they're in. You know, the city of Barberton is the owner of them. You know, it's just like a developer puts in lines in a neighborhood. You know, when they're done with that, we take possession of them, even though we didn't purchase that. You know, so it's yes.
And then do we help specify how it works? Because like Mr. Shreve,
They have to do it according to our specs. And so we review the plans and we approve the plans before those go in. We did the same with Nash Heights, you know, just like we would for Trushan that's in Barberton. We did the same for anything that's outside the city. If it comes to us and we're going to maintain it, it has to be built to our specs.
So Mr. Shreve was mentioning that, like, ideally there's like another water line to circulate water to that new tank in the long run. Is that correct?
Yes, well, you want circulation of the system. You don't want dead ends. If you have dead ends, you have issues with your chlorine residuals, because they would tend to drop. But if you have circulation, it helps with that situation. Where was I? Okay, we were doing the revenue on 154. Was there any more questions there? Or? Well, we can jump to the administration. And as I said, this is a very similar budget to what you just seen on the sewer side. Many of the lines are the same. There are some differences. We pay for part of a clerk in the building department out of sewer because the building department collects fees for sewer connections. But we collect our own in the utilities department for water. And that's all set up that way in the chart. And so all of these lines are basically the same. We do have a line in here for education reimbursement, and I did put in $6,000. We have one employee who, you have to be approved for that to go into a program to get the education reimbursement. Goes through HR, they approve your course of study, and then if they are, have a passing, they pass their courses, and those are reimbursed. And so that's one difference from here. There's nothing there. Okay. And the on our debt service on the water side is a little higher. It's 25% of our revenue, and we've had some major improvements there on the water side in recent years, and that's had a lot to do with it. And we're doing our best to try to keep that percentage down on the sewer as well, so that, we do have a big loan that's gonna be paying off, I think it's this year, I think this year is our last payment. And that's over $600,000 a year, so that will be helpful to us in the coming years. Okay. Water treatment. Okay, the water treatment plant, with much of the same type of services as you see on the sewer treatment plant, professional services, the same for, we can get consulting on, for issues that we may have. We have a company called Fontis Blue that we contract with that helps with algae treatments. And most surface water plants, in other words, plants that have a reservoir, run into those issues. And we've done a lot to try to mitigate that issue. We have what you call solar beads that are out there. They're run by solar. It's a mixer that's underneath. You've probably seen them out there on the reservoir as you drive by. They help because a lake will tend to, or a reservoir, whatever, tends to stratify. The different layers and different temperatures, and they hang there. So if you mix those, you have less issues with algae. And also, they would advise us for any other treatments that might be necessary. We have an oxygenation system that is out there where we pump, add oxygen to water and then circulate it out into the reservoir too, and that helps with algae. So those have been major improvements for us over the years. And that's kind of cutting edge too. There aren't a lot of people that, in fact, I don't know anybody else around that uses an oxygenation system like we have for the reservoir. So those were good ideas that went back to Terry Palmer's, time at the water treatment plant. Came up with some great ideas to do that. Yeah, God rest his soul, we lost him last year, so good man. And also on the training travel the same, to keep our operators out there and the managers and things trained. And the testing, and they do quite a bit of testing on the outside. We do run much inside, as well, but on the water side, there's probably even more that is run outside. Repair and maintenance, same thing, obviously contractors, things to do with pumps, motors, motor rewinds, and that we would bring somebody in. Lagoon sludge removal. So we have sludge removal on the wastewater side, but you have lagoon sludge removal on the water side. And what it is we go through settling tanks, and also we have rapid sand fillers. And so those are the sludge from the bottom, or sediment that comes in from the reservoir. We pump that out to a lagoon, it settles, and then backflow, we backflush our filters, it blows those out to the lagoon as well. And then when they settle, then water will flow over into the Tusk River. And we do have to chlorinate it. We have an NPDES permit for that, just like the wastewater plant does. But it's a low amount, and the water's not really contaminated. It's just come from the reservoir. It should be even a little cleaner because we've collected all that sediment and everything in those basins. That number is higher for next year because they are really getting full, and those can only be cleaned out certain times of the year. Farmers have their fields; you can't put anything on, of course, when there's crops, so you have to do it in those off times or in between cuttings, and you sometimes the weather really isn't conducive to that. So we've got So last year, we really wanted to haul a lot more, wasn't able to, so this year we're in a spot where we really got to haul. So that's that budget. And all the same thing, repair parts, chemicals, then there's a lot of chemicals we use on the, water side as well. There's things, it's not polymers, but what you call filter aid and, potassium manganate, of course, the chlorine, and, many things that are used, what we call COP or zinc orthophosphate. It actually coats the inside of pipes and prevents leaching out of things like copper, lead. That's what they didn't do in Flint, Michigan, why we're, all of this is going on across the whole nation with the new regulation. And where we have fed this is back in the early 90s when those regulations first came in place. So we don't have a problem with either one of those things, with the lead or copper. And so any questions on that part? Yeah, that operating budget. And on the capital budget, there's 20,000. That has to do with fence. We also have wells. We have 3 wells that we use, and they're on all the infrastructure for it is on a lifted platform, but we also want to add a fence around those to protect them. So we don't want anybody we haven't had that problem, but we want to make sure we're protected. So we're going to add that this year. And there's also some raw water valves that need some maintenance, possible replacement. And that's the other $20,000. That's the raw water comes in from the reservoir. Even when we run our pumps, they go to the reservoir. They help fill up the reservoir because we want to blend it with reservoir water. We're not what you call a lime soda softening plant. We're a rapid sand filtration plant, so we don't soften. And when we run those wells, you might notice water gets a little bit more hard, and because we can't soften. But we only use those when periods of drought, when that reservoir starts to get dry. And we also need to replace a high service pump. High service pumps feed water into the system. So we have clear wells there after water's all been treated, ready to pump into the water system. They're going to a clear well, and then we have pumps that pump into the system, and then they fill our towers. And so they're pretty critical. We did rebuild one last year, and this is another one we're going to do. Now, we need to keep those in the best of shape. So this one is going to be our largest pump that is going to be replaced. So any question on those? Okay. I also had some other areas that I could take some capital from. There's a 520 account, that's on page 161. And this account, actually the revenue in this account comes from the city of Washburn. We have a well that is down in the Rhodes Hollow area that we don't use. In fact, we're not even connected to it. That well field was purchased back in the 1960s. Barberton was booming, and they thought we was actually going to have to build a second water plant down there to feed the city. That didn't happen with, as you know, when, industry started to leave, but we didn't need that. And so we now lease one of those wells to the city of Washburn, and that fee goes up every year. So I've been using some of those funds to take care of some other capital. There's $260,000 that you see under equipment and furnishings, and that is for a project to connect the water treatment plant to the sanitary sewer. There's a Barber Road trunk that's near that BP station at 261 Summit Road in Barber. That's where the sewer stops. So there'll be a pump station we'll just pump to that, and then they'll be connected. Up to this time, they've actually had a septic, and it's failed, and they won't allow us to rebuild it. I really want to rebuild it anyway. I think this is the best solution for that, the best long-term solution. And also, there's $100,000 in this account, and that's for repair on our Eastern Road tank. There's a fill tube on that needs replaced. That's an estimate. We're going to bring some people in, get some estimates on it, some different construction companies, and see what their approach is and go from there. And then on the next page, I believe I covered up the page number 162. There is, I have $15,000 in this account it's a roof on a valve building, and that's near our wells, and that's just, we need to maintain that building. It's starting to leak pretty good, so we're gonna fix that. And I have $225,000 budgeted for our local portion on water lines that we are replacing. And there's another $250,000 in that budget to begin to replace our water meters. Our meters are starting to get older. Actually, some of them are 25 years old, so we want to attack those first. And actually, as meters age, they slow down, so it's a revenue thing as well. And so we want to make sure that we're measuring everything accurately. And that is everything that I had. There's still remaining the collection and distribution that Mr. Street is going to cover. But any question on anything I've covered here tonight? If you have any, as you're going through, please don't hesitate to call. You know, I like to talk about, I'll take you on another tour, we'll go down and see, you know. And probably sometime this year, you may want to think about, I know some of you have been to the dam, and you know, we have a hollow core dam. It's what's called an Amberson style dam. You can walk through the middle of it. You won't be able to do that anymore after this thing is done. It's actually all going to be filled in.
Yep.
And you know, I know others have found it interesting to tour that. It's going to be an expensive project, so we have to see where our money's going. You know, and fortunately, the vast majority of that project is covered by grants. OPWC is covering $2 million, and FEMA is covering 90% up to $10 million. But ODNR reviews those plans, and they came up with new things for us to do to add almost $5 million to the project. So we're applying for a loan from the Water Supply Revolving Loan Fund. That one's also eligible for principal forgiveness this year, so we're going to get that in. That'll help, but we're also looking for other sources, including hitting FEMA again, trying to get them to pick up some of the boards as well. But that's where we are on all the capital and a good chunk of our water and sewer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And there I was kind of hoping he was going to stop with water meters because that was going to lead me into, but water meters don't just affect just the water. That's how we also bill sewer. So if it's running slow and we're underbilling for water, we're also underbilling for sewer. So that's why it's important for us to go ahead and look at, especially the older meters, 25-year-old meters. We want to make sure that everything's up to snuff. We also have discussed on looking at the large meters, which are in your factories, your car washes, laundromats, those kinds of things, because those are also hitting that same age. So there's been a lot of internal discussion about how we're going to handle that, because the business owners are actually responsible for their own meter in those situations. So it's a little different than having a residential meter that we supply and are responsible for. So I'm going to start on page 151. I'll try to make it quick. This is, as I was looking through the book back there's a couple other funds I want to talk about. If you guys don't have any questions, we won't even have to touch on them. But so 151 is the collection system. So that's the guys that work out of the distribution collection garage. These are the guys that clean the sewer when you have the backup. So they go out with a jet truck, pop manholes, make sure things are flowing right. So that's the wages and the personnel services there at the top. Then moving on down, training and travel, kind of like Denny said, you know, we have a lot of guys down there with distribution and collection license. So this is the collection side. I actually hold a wastewater collection too. So does Mike Lemley, Steve Kasich, Matt Weideman, Mike Dyer. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Mike Jackson, who's retiring here real soon. But those are licensed though that are also available. So So if any of the guys that are, you know, the E2s, E3s, when they show that interest, we don't want to hold anybody back because those are licenses that are very valuable in the state of Ohio and in the city of Barberton. So that training and travel line items there. Professional services, that helps design our water and sewer lines that are going to be put in the ground. They help formulate cleaning plans. We have to look at, we are trying to look at and inspect and or touch every sewer in town every 5 years. So I mean, that's something that they help us kind of put together, you know, plan on how we're doing that. With our new GIS system, working with my distribution collection manager, Matt down there, we're trying to work with Bennett Williams, which is our consulting firm, into putting together modules so that when the guys go out and they clean a sewer, so you might pull a map up, and that sewer line's going to be red when you pull it up, and then you're going to clean it because there's trouble or it's just routine, and as soon as you click on it, you fill out a little bit of information, that sewer line's going to turn green now. So if it's red, it's going to turn green, and they're going to know then when they go back out there, oh, that line's green. If there was trouble call here, then we need to look further into either that address, we need to televise it, we need to dig a little deeper. So that's something that we're trying to put together along with digital work orders, which those professional services are covering some of the consulting and helping us build those programs so that we can be a more efficient department. Any questions on that while I'm here? Yes.
Is it wastewater and storm sewer?
So that is something that I'm also working with, Street Garage to try to do that kind of stuff there also. And we're taking it beyond just sewers to even the grass mowing, because we have to mow, there's so many lots that we mow that we're looking at doing the same thing there so that a grass crew can pull a map up and all of the lots in the city that we own or mow are a certain color. And then when they mow them, they'll turn a different color, and then 14 to 21 days later, depending on what time frame we want to set, they'll go from green to red, so that we know we need to go back and mow them again. So that, like I said, there's a lot of things that we're trying to build, one for tracking, two for efficiency. So if they're in the neighborhood, they pull a map up and there's 3 lots, why would we mow one and then skip across town to mow another when we have 3 we could do right there in a row? So those are things that we've been working on trying to build and put together. Yes.
Is there a reason for the $40,000 increase in that line, like when it hasn't been like historically even needing that?
So I mean, we are doing more water and sewer line projects. So I mean, the increase in that is partially for the work order system and the GIS, that type of planning, and then also the fact that when we look at water lines, and when we look at doing a water line project, we try to look at it holistically so that it's not just the water line. Like, why would we come tear the road up and replace the water line if there's a sewer line problem too? We found 2 deficiencies on Stratford while we were televising the sewers for the water line project, that we're now going to do some sewer line repairs there also. So those are things that we found that we could do in-house, but there's times that we still have to go out and we'll have to have that designed and put in by a contractor. So that's the increase there in professional service. It's kind of the unknown.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
All right, and then so just kind of moving down through, those are all our standard, the repair and maintenance. We budgeted 77 last year, used 68, stuck to 75 this year. That's a lot of our repair parts, Fernco's, pieces of pipe, that kind of stuff. Same goes for the repair and maintenance supplies. A lot of those can be used interchangeable and taken together. Operating supplies are more, software things, tools, things that actually takes to operate that department. And then our standard, electric, gas, gas and oil for the vehicles, radio maintenance. We don't typically have a whole lot there, but we just had to purchase new radios, so we did add a lot of those to the trucks down there. They're more handhelds now, so that the guys can grab them and put them on their belt when they need them, rather than having to mount them in the trucks. So we do still have radios that we use down there. The capital, I believe we're replacing a pump. And when I say pump, it's It's not like a little trash pump. It's, or actually, it's the pump and air compressor. It's a tow-behind unit. That's something that they utilize in that department during water breaks, emergency response, that kind of thing. And then in the infrastructure sewer line, the 70,000, you'll see that 70,000 also in water. That is for a change order down on South Van Buren. I came to council for the approval for that project. I want to say it was close to 210. I think it's 70,000 from 3 different accounts. So we'll touch on that too when we get to distribution. Any other questions on collection? Okay, distribution is on page 158. Kind of like the sewer administration and the water administration, you'll see that they're very similar. Personnel services, again, that's all the guys' wages that plus the roll-up with their benefits. Training and travel, again, that helps cover Danny, do you happen to know why Matt went up to 11 from 1,500?
What, on which, on the, yes. He has to recertify people that have the backflow this year.
Okay.
And so, when we reviewed together, he wanted to bump it.
Okay. I was gonna say,
I forget the price per person, but it's pretty high.
It is. I want to say that it's close to $700, $800, and there's 8 or 9 guys down there that have the backflow. So that makes complete sense. And with that, so that's one of those things that is a EPA mandate. So we, as a community, have a backflow prevention program. It's regulated by our backflow prevention manual, and we have to do so many sanitary surveys in a building every year. So in order to accomplish that, we actually opened it up to the department down there and said, hey, guys, it's not a requirement of your job, but this helps out the department. Are you interested in becoming backflow certified? And that's how we got so many of them backflow certified. And a lot of them are also backflow survey certified. So that was a separate class. They went through a couple different buildings, and when you go and survey a building for backflow, you actually look at where the source water comes in, and you trace that water line all the way till it ends at each ending. So it's sinks, toilets, boilers, drinking fountains, soda machines, everything that water line touches, you have to go physically look at, because there is a backflow containment device at the service entrance that protects our system, and then there's also health and safety backflow prevention devices that protects the internal water system inside. So this building here is fed by a boiler, all the heat. There's actually a containment device where it enters to protect our system, and there's a containment device on the boiler that protects the drinking water at the drinking fountain, so the boiler can't backfeed into the drinking fountain, if that makes sense. So it's an important aspect of distribution. Sorry, I'm getting a little windy. I told you I was going to be short. So professional services, kind of the same thing. We're designing water lines. Moving down through there, the repair and maintenance supplies, those are all unknowns. It's a $250,000 line item. But when you're talking buying stainless steel clamps to put on water lines, you're talking buying water line to replace pieces that have blown out or sections that are bad, it gets costly. Which is why we're trying to spend more money on putting the infrastructure in the ground, so that in the end we can spend less money repairing infrastructure. Any questions on that page? Yes, Mike.
Radio maintenance, 45,000, and the last several years have been 5,000 to 7,000.
I think, was that a flip with the electric accidentally? Because the electric's only 10,000. It's been about 40.
Well, that or the valve replacement repair.
My guess is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got an extra zero.
Well, it looks like, Danny, so that should have been, yeah.
You're right.
The zero got added to radio maintenance and removed from valve.
But also the electric is extremely low.
I did see that big bump, but I also seen all those red negatives. So I thought, well, maybe it'll make up for some of the shortages.
Jeremy, do you know that wrong keys good? I mean, so and with that being said, I mean, O&M, we could move money around in those.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
with
good
catch.
Yeah, actually, that's a good catch.
7,000 budget in 2025, and then all of a sudden, 45,000 in 2026. It kind of raised red flags there.
Yeah.
It still might be a little short though, based on the electric being 29,000 up. Probably what it's gonna go up.
Yes.
But the gas also,
No, the gas is gonna go up.
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know that it's gonna go from $9,000 to $70,000.
No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so I think, yeah, there was a few numbers.
Oh,
that
I'm
got
sorry, I missed that one.
Transposed a
Yeah.
little.
My
bit.
bad. Okay.
So
thank you.
ultimately, in the O&M, there's going to be enough there to cover those costs.
We can blame Mr. Slaker.
I would never blame him. I would never blame him.
I will.
Finance is too
I'm sure that was pulling numbers from the OpenGov to put it into the
Is
spreadsheet.
that an excuse?
I didn't see him back.
Yeah.
All right, and so if we flip to the next page, that is some of the capital. So buildings, so I mean, that's improvements to the building down there. They do have a couple of old buildings. You know, they've been working on trying to upgrade to LED lighting, and putting some new garage door openers, that kind of thing in. I started that down there. There's 30 some garage doors. I mean, they're all labeled with numbers because it got to the point where you call Magic Door to come work on something, and they'd be like, oh, okay, well, we'll be there tomorrow. Which door is it? Well, it's the third one back on the right-hand side. It was easier to just put numbers on the building. So that was something that the previous manager did before I took over the time. And then equipment and furnishings, that will help purchase some of that equipment, pump, the air compressor. And then you'll see there at the very bottom, infrastructure water lines, that's the 70,000 I talked about with sewer. That is going to help with the change order down in South Victor. Are there any questions on water lines? As I was flipping through, I noticed that, so we haven't really talked about lighting, we haven't talked about trash. Do we want to review those tonight, or is everybody comfortable with them?
What was that second one?
Lighting and then sanitation, trash. So we can talk about them if we want to talk about them, if we want to.
Mrs. Reed, are we gonna be able to finish it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's a page each, I think, so I mean, we can get through.
Do it.
Yeah, let's get through it.
And I don't know, Mayor, you didn't have anything else scheduled next week, so, I mean, I think.
Well, we wanna vote on this next
Voted
week.
next week, so we have to finish up.
Yep, so I mean, so again,
Okay.
so 501, which is on page 139, a couple pages back. So I mean, as we look down through there, there's not a ton that has changed. If you go most of the way down the page where it says street lighting, you'll see that we budgeted 400 last year. We spent 220. We budgeted 400 again this year. Part of that is, you know, adding new street lighting. Part of it is the ESIP program going away. They've been telling us for years that it's going to go away and it's going to cost us more money for street lighting. It's finally happening because they put the tariff on. That was the email that we kind of talked about, the street lighting last week. I don't know how soon that'll actually hit us, but that's part of the reason why we budget there. And then the other items there in that O&M are again pretty standard. Traffic light, electric, that's for our traffic signals. That is our meter. equipment and furnishings there on the bottom are signalized intersections. I know we kind of talked about that a little bit, so that's helping convert some of those to cameras. Any questions on lighting? Yes, Mr. Moore.
Yeah, so the street lighting itself is not part of paying for the light. Is that what I understand? The equipment is separate.
Well, so the street lighting pays for the actual lights,
Just the street lights.
the street
And then-
lights,
got
and then
it.
equipment and furnishings. So that we do purchase some stoplights. We do also some of the equipment for the actual street lights.
Got it.
Will come out of that too.
Thank you.
But the street lighting line there, that pays the bills, which the bills change depending on how many lights. If we add lights, the bills are gonna go up.
Understood. Thank you.
Any other questions there? With one page, if there are none, and that is the solid waste disposal. This is revenue. The top portion is the revenue. So last year we collected 2.88 million. This year should be the same. The rates didn't change, so the residents are paying the same amount of money. So, excuse me. It should reflect that, but again, as residents move in, we add service or take service away, that number changes for revenue. Expenditures. So with that, the salaries, it's similar to Denny's Water, not as extreme, but it pays for a lot of different people out of salary. I mean, Lee Wyatt, as I know, we got a small little portion. Myself, Mayor, Vanessa. I think that there's probably some of the utilities maybe even get touched by this budget, dealing with the billing. And then, is there any questions on this first page, revenue or personal services? Next page is operations and maintenance. So that's where you'll see that we have the garbage contract, which is the big line item there. Again, that changes. So that changes with the amount of dumpsters, the amount of trash cans, the amount of residents. That garbage pickup contract changes with that. The bulk trash collection. So that's when we do like the bulk trash cleanups. So when we do our spring cleanup, we always talk about adding more of those. Or if there's a major storm comes through and we need to do some extra bulk cleanups, that comes out of that line item. And then the rest of that is just the operations lines. Residential trash cleanup, you'll see we budget 10 grand. We haven't spent more than 3,900, but that's one of those where if we've got one, I know that was emailed this morning, up on Fernwood, I believe. So it was a whole house clean out. Kimball will only pick up wrapped furniture, they'll only pick up so much. If it ends up sitting there, we have to go pick it up. That does cost us money. So that's what that line is for.
Do we assess that?
What's that?
Do we assess that?
We do,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, that's something that, so our street garage will go, and it's actually time and material.
Okay.
So yeah, for every piece of equipment, there's a cost, every person, there's a cost.
Okay.
So that does get assessed to that. And then the equipment and furnishings, that I believe we discussed purchasing another pickup truck to help with removing debris from, parks and downtown, all the trash cans. And then the equipment and furnishings, we also will purchase trash cans out of that. So adding all of the brand new trash cans that are on Tusk and Second Street came out of that equipment and furnishing line. And we discuss every year, do we need to add more? We're looking at renovating Block 7, we're moving the city building over there. So there's things that may come out of that line item to add for more receptacles. Yes, Mr. Warren.
Yeah. So last year, you didn't spend 150 of it for the equipment and furnishings. Was that were you going to thought to buy another truck?
So I believe last year we were actually looking at one point in time, we had thought about adding, they're called they're like small trash compactors. So we had looked at purchasing those and adding those to the parks, some of the parks. They're solar powered, they're called big belly trash cans or something like that. So they actually will take 10 times the amount of waste and put it into a trash can that's the size of this podium.
For like park use?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was one of those purchases where we budgeted for it, but then we weren't real sure how feasible or how do you take and pack 100 pounds of trash into something this size and then remove that trash? Like, what do you use to remove?
Sure.
So,
Okay.
it never really came to fruition.
Okay, so you're thinking about purchasing a truck?
This was,
this year?
yes, I know we discussed purchasing another truck to help with removal of trash. We've
Okay.
got the purple trash dumpster
Yeah.
truck now.
How
Yeah.
many do we have, like, trucks, like, to add to the fleet? Like, to add one to the fleet, like, how many?
You're talking adding.
So you want to add, like, a pickup truck?
Yes.
Right? How many do we have currently?
I would have to actually get an inventory. Our street garage,
It's like a
Okay.
mile
I'll have
long.
to get you that.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah. 'Cause I can tell you how many 5 tons plow trucks we have, but I can't tell you how many pickups.
Sure. I mean, would that be partially better invested into another plow truck in the future instead of a pickup truck?
So the plow trucks we typically lease purchase those, and that's something that we look at adding to the fleet as
Sure.
often as we can.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's not a discussion that we could have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep. Are there any other questions on the trash? All right, I think those were the only ones that I really thought that we kind of skipped over, and I wanted to touch on if you guys wanted. Any other questions for me?
Let's do it all again.
All right, well, I appreciate y'all.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions between now and next Monday, reach out, let me know, email me, I'll get you an answer.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, Mr. Mayor, that covers the finance budget this year. So, and we'll be voting on this next week. Thank you all. So, get back to the president's remarks. Anyone that has a cell phone owned by the city that you're using and you're paying for the bill, see Mrs. Iceman, HR about that, because it's, city usually pays for that. It comes out of our council budget. So I know there's a few in here that are paying for it.
I was gonna say shorter, with that real quick.
Yes.
So if it is something that you are currently paying and you want your number ported over, so I know, I've been working with Jamie today.
Okay.
So obviously you probably have a number, it's on a business card, if you want to try to keep that number. I would need the information, so the number that you want to keep, and then, if you can give that to me, I've been working with T-Mobile, so the phone will be worked through me with our city contract, and then, I'll make sure to port the number so that nothing changes, it would just be a different phone.
Everybody got that? Okay.
It would be a different phone or?
Same phone number, but through our T-Mobile provider.
But the physical phone,
Yes. I don't know that you'll be able to keep your phone.
Don't give us
Your actual.
Don't give us,
Don't give us
it'd be a
one.
city
okay,
owned.
Just like the tablet, I believe you guys have provided.
yeah, thank
Is
you.
everybody okay with an Apple device?
Good.
Okay.
I like my Android and having everybody can play around in the chat.
I'm with you, Rebecca, but I have an iPhone now because that's what our IT policy is. It works great for phone calls.
Okay.
That's all I need.
Okay, we got one more issue here. The last election, we formed, it was voted on and passed that we have a charter commission. The whole council is a charter commission, every one of us in here.
Oh,
So we need to have a chair, co-chair, just like any other committee. So I'll need nominations for a chairman and a co-chair. Yes, who was first?
me, I nominate Emily Beck, Mrs. Emily
Mrs.
Beck.
Beck. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Second.
Do we-
Second, Mrs. Stoll. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Do I have a motion for a co-chair? Yes, Mrs. Beck.
I'll nominate Mr. Stoll.
Any second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. So I don't think all of us are members, so we wouldn't need a third member. Correct? That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, because we do have some pending drafts coming up by Mrs. Beck.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
Um,
we don't have them ready now. No,
We're not gonna do it now? Okay,
no,
cool. Do it
no,
next
we
time.
want to do it now.
But did everyone see it? Did everyone see the drafts?
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
so we'll do that later.
This one.
no.
Could I just ask,
What's that?
what we talked about earlier, so I make sure I do it right?
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 committees that meet on committee of the whole night and 5 that meet on legislative night. So just like with any committee, we will have an agenda. I can just say there's nothing on the agenda. We won't even have to bring it to order
Right,
or whatever,
right,
but
right.
we will have it listed when legislation is filed. It will be heard on the committee of the whole night. It'll stay in the same cycle, it won't slow anything down, and there will be an agenda for it, but we don't have to call it to order twice a month, do you think?
I thought, and I didn't reread the rules, but I thought it was, we only convene when there is something to talk about.
Right,
That would
right.
So
probably
we
be the
don't
best
even-
way. But I will go ahead and create an agenda and the whole bit so that we have a framework to work with. And you'll have an agenda just like your normal committee. Okay? Will that be okay with all y'all?
I love it.
Okay.
Mr. Moore?
We have any more remarks from the body? Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few comments real quick. I know it's been a long night. Barberton School Board did hold a meeting this evening at the middle school, talk about the situation that they're in, get feedback, answer questions, things of that nature. So I was there in the beginning. When I left, there was about 50 people there. So a decent turnout, but I know there's going to be more work that goes into this. So, I've always said that even though the city is a separate entity than the schools, that strong households create strong neighborhoods, and strong neighborhoods create strong communities, and schools, especially in a community like Barberton, are very, very important. I'm not trying to sway anyone's vote with the upcoming levy, but when I realize how difficult the millage, paying for that on your taxes, and everything that's been discussed at the state level with your taxes, property taxes, is very difficult for many, many residents. But strong schools are a part of a strong community. So I know that they're working on every angle that they can to meet budget requirements, but continue to provide the same programming that they do. So I think our school system's a great school system, and I appreciate the programs and things they do. Obviously, more information on what to go into this and come out of it soon. Obviously, the weather this weekend, it's constantly changing. Windstorms this weekend, lots of downed trees, lots of downed limbs, downed power lines. So I was working with First Energy throughout the weekend and power outages and poles down. Just what a mess throughout multiple states. So we're staying on top of this and keeping things in track. And I believe most power has been restored, not all of it. I know there were some poles that need to be replaced. So we're gonna stay on top of this as power gets restored, but, like I said, close to 2 inches of snow could fall in our area, snow. And then it'd be close to 50 by Saturday. So, hopefully that's the end of it, but it does seem like it's gonna be a roller coaster with temperature over the next couple of weeks. I do want to congratulate the Barberton wrestlers who competed this past weekend down at the state finals in Columbus. I want to wish the Akron Zips good luck as they take on Texas Tech in the first round of the NCAA basketball tournament. And then just lastly, wishing everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Any questions for me? Yes.
When it comes to the schools, I've talked to Andres and Andrew a little bit and asked about this levy and stuff, and I don't know how close you are with them. Would you relate to them, as I have, that like scheduling these meetings or whoever is the schedule of these meetings, to not have them during council would be great if they want their community leaders involved? Because obviously I couldn't attend tonight, and I'm sure you would have enjoyed staying longer as well. So just maybe coming from you might be a little stronger.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
With nothing else, we are adjourned at 8:41.
Next week, so we might be